bridge here and you have to make a choice. Do you want to step onto it and cross this bridge where something you value, and in business, as I mentioned, it might be capital, it might be time, or culturally it might be a sense of self-worth or job security. Something you value is made vulnerable, and by vulnerable, what I mean is subject to possible loss, but not just loss, possible diminishment, to unknown outcomes. So here, the possible loss is of your life, and the unknown outcome, of course, is whether the bridge will actually hold up. So if you're in a position or a place where there's no trust, if you could just conceive of that in an absolute sense, there's no trust, what will you do? So there's a high level of uncertainty and a high level of vulnerability. And what you would do is nothing. You would not have the confidence to be able to commit yourself to action. In the depth of the market collapse, investors lost all their trust, and they said no, and they just basically withdrew from the market. And the banks, interestingly, said no. They lost all their trust even of each other, and they wouldn't lend to each other. And I'll never forget, I sit on the Alberta Investment Management Corporation's board of directors, and we manage the largest bond portfolio, one of the largest bond portfolios in North America. And at the depth of the darkness, receiving a phone call from the chief executive officer, and he said, the bond market has gone no bid. We can't access any liquidity in the bond market, and we have commitments. And it was a very scary moment for everybody. Now, in a more typical situation where there's a low level of trust, and quite frankly, in my experience, in most organizations, trust levels are relatively low. The one key point, and you can find all sorts of descriptions of cultures with low trust, but the one key point I would make is partial or limited, tentative commitment, that people don't really stand in their responsibilities fully and completely. So commitment is held back. And the result is you get less from people. And there's less fulfillment personally for those individuals in those organizations. And inefficiency and ineffectiveness and